On January 20th, 2024, Donald Trump began his second term as the President of the United States of America. In February of that same year, he signs Executive Order 14201, an order aimed at keeping transgender female athletes from participating on any girls' or women's athletic team. Later that same month, the NCAA, the governing body of college athletics in the United States, amended their policy regarding women's sports to be, quote, restricted to student athletes assigned female at birth. During the first 2 years of President Trump's second term, 29 states have enacted laws banning transgender girls from participating in youth sports. And as recently as June of 2026, the U.S. Supreme Court, in a 6-3 vote, upheld laws enacted in both Idaho and West Virginia that banned transgender athletes from women's sports. As of the writing of this script on August 8, 2026, the WNBA's meteoric rise in popularity has been intercepted by the trans athlete debate, despite the fact that the league has never featured such an individual in its 30 years of existence. Comments made by Indiana guard Sophie Cunningham fueled the discussion to a fever pitch. I previously discussed this on a video that I will link in this one's description. Former NBA players Enes and Royce have both made headlines in the last couple days after announcing their intent to declare for the WNBA draft under the guise that the two now identify as women and are therefore eligible for said draft. Right-wing supporters have leapt on these announcements to undermine not only trans athletes, but to undermine the WNBA itself. Supporters of Enes and Royce insist that they will be revolutionary players in the WNBA and that their actions in no way, shape, or form are made to criticize any group of people. I'll begin by saying that I do not believe any sincere party will earnestly argue that these two former NBA players are wholeheartedly transitioning from male to female to realize a version of themselves that has long been kept under a performance of what it means to be a male. When Enes and Royce say they are women, they say it as a satirization of what they perceive transgender individuals attempting to do. They see it as words with no true meaning other than to achieve an end goal. In their minds, proponents of trans equality believe that an individual can change their gender as quickly as one's mood may swing. They don't believe in a reality where an individual's struggles and experiences lead that person to think that they have been bound to a false identity to be what the greater society considers normal. To them, trans people and their struggle to gain civil liberty is nothing more than a tool for creating division and enshrining themselves in some level of power, whether it be at the level of the president or at that of a has-been professional athlete who grifts on the internet to make their money. It's never been about what's right or wrong. And it's never been about protecting girls either, a phrase I personally find disgusting, as many of the same people saying it rise to defend predators on a regular basis. Sophie Cunningham voluntarily served as a ring girl for convicted rapist Conor McGregor, and Royce White is actively serving a 50-year restraining order to protect his ex-wife and their son from his abuse. These arguments have always been about creating an enemy, attacking that enemy, and claiming victory over them to sway their constituents into gifting them another term in one of the easiest careers in America. If this is anything other than a grift to make a living, it's a clear example how a patriarchal system reacts when women gain even a crumb of equality. In male-dominated spaces, the WNBA has been little more than a vehicle for lesbian jokes for the last 30 years. Despite this, stars like Aja Wilson, Brittany Griner, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and many other tremendous athletes have propelled the league to historic milestones in both viewership and revenue generation. In fact, in 2025, the WNBA made enough money to trigger revenue sharing with the teams. While the exact numbers are steeped in mystery due to the W's unwillingness to share their books, it marks a giant leap forward for the league and its future viability. You would be hard-pressed to find somebody willing to blatantly admit the following sentiment, but I believe this is an effort by men in powerful positions to keep the WNBA, and by extension women, under their thumb. The WNBA has long cultivated an environment of acceptance and understanding of different peoples and communities in a way that no professional men's league can even fathom of attaining in their current forms. When the NBA was able to write off the WNBA as nothing but a revenue loss, nobody cared about this welcoming environment that was being fostered. Now that the league is making money, people are going to do everything in their power to ensure that that money doesn't find its way into the hands of people who might fight for things like equality and civil liberties. They want to make sure any excess revenue goes to feeding the same system that's been crumbling to pieces before our very eyes. I implore the WNBA to come out and make a statement denouncing the efforts of those like Enes and Royce White. Afterwards, I insist they push forward with little regard to anything other than basketball and create a more accepting world in the wake of their path. Feeding this fire only makes it burn hotter, a sin I am as guilty for as any. However, dissent must continue until the last ember of ignorance has been extinguished at the foot of equality. My name is Zachary Taylor. Thank you for your time today.